Hi folks, Mark Merrill with Firm. Is masculinity a real thing? Or is it jealousy on the left? The rhetoric from the left wingnut radicals, folks, keeps coming from the Democratic political party for now, and it keeps reeking of hate, violence. Instead of having ideas for the benefit of all Americans, when does it stop, folks? So the case in point that we're going to show you, or have you listen to, folks, is from a recent observation by Fox talk show host Greg Gutfeld recently, after Governor Gavin Newsom's podcast interview, just a segment of it, with a very animated Minnesota Governor Tim Walz.
Sure, Newsom's legacy as governor is tarnished. His state is plagued with rampant homelessness, crime, sky-high taxes, and a mayor who left her hair in Ghana. His inability to govern during a wildfire disaster should disqualify him altogether. But when your competition is that, all bets are off.
Tim Walz.
The Republicans aren't the ones polling at 29%, which means when you say, yeah, but they suck, you're talking about most of the country. Trying to be a tough guy didn't make you VP, and it isn't going to fix what's wrong with your party. Because what's wrong with the party isn't just the loss of masculine virtues, it's what replaced it. Envy. As you were saying on your phone.
Saying on my phone, I don't know, some of you know this on the iPhone, they've got that little stock app. I added Tesla to give me a little boost during the day. 225 and dropping.
You should be worried about his balls dropping. Fact is, while one man is rescuing astronauts, he's mocking that very same guy. He's rooting for the demise of that man's company. What a weird place to be, to root against good things. What is it about the left's source of joy being destruction? They champion Hamas supporters, condemn the deportation of criminals from America. They defend looters as social justice, elevate felons to sainthood, provide material support to vandals. They destroy womanhood by reducing it to a wig and cheap lipstick easily donned by creepy dudes. Their entire identity is rooted in emasculated envy. So yeah, we get it, Tim. You're baffled anyone would focus on your masculinity. But that's what happens when your party pulled a bait and switch. They told us you were the answer to our masculine prayers, when really you're the problem.
Greg Gutfeld, folks, as you know, he says it bottom line, and he certainly never misses a beat. So I know something was a little bit harsh there. However, what we want to show you right now, folks, is right here in front of you before we get to some other information on our program about masculinity, or is it just jealousy without any content? Masculinity, folks, according to our good friends and publishers for a long time, Merriam-Webster, it's a noun. The quality or nature of the male sex, the quality, state, or degree of being masculine or manly. A style which alternates between a polished grace and blunt masculinity, according to a Stuart Keat. Susan Faludi says the man controlling his environment is today the prevailing American image of masculinity. But according to some theories, folks, traditional notions of masculinity are associated with the pursuit of goals, competition, personal achievement. While femininity is associated with affiliative goals, social orientation, and a desire for connection. Now, the other definitions are actually observations under the masculinity definition and meaning from Merriam-Webster. If a man is too uncomfortable in his own skin in all senses and uncertain of his cracking masculinity to even consider the impulse or act on it confidently. The same passion for justice has inspired some to write novels and screenplays about women with strong moral compasses who fight for what's right against corporate greed, right-wing environmental forces, unjust legal prosecutions, and toxic masculinity. This from a Dominic Patton in the publication Deadline back on March 13th, 2025. But that is pretty much it in a nutshell, folks. And we're going to move on to a different topic here in a moment. But once again, just to review, masculinity, as you see here in front of you on this Merriam-Webster printout, is the quality or nature of the male sex, the quality, state, or degree of being masculine, challenging traditional notions about masculinity and femininity. A style, according to one, which alternates between a polished grace and blunt masculinity. The man controlling his environment is today the prevailing American image of masculinity. Some synonyms: macho, manliness, manhood. How about virility? I like that one, folks. As we move on here on Firm, State House is going to be busy, folks, in the next week or two. But what we're going to get to is a couple of topics that are quite touchy or have really set off some people, not only around the state but around the country, especially the deflectocrats. First of all, the state of Maine is dealing with the censure recently of Republican Representative Laurel Libby of Auburn. She's had delays, pushbacks, and has to sit in the legislature because she was voted and elected there by her constituents, 9,000 of them, as you may have already known in the media, the trusted media. At least she can have someone speak for her until this is all settled. The president himself, Donald Trump, is behind her 100% to remove this censure. Not to mention Janet Mills and her Attorney General and Speaker of the House are all under fire from the federal government to give an answer very shortly. The clock is ticking, Janet Mills. Either you support or you stop all transgender men from participating in women's sports in this state, because Janet Mills thinks that the Maine Human Rights Act, or the Maine Human Rights Commission, overrules Donald Trump's federal Title IX. It's not Donald Trump's federal Title IX. It is the law of the land. Janet, get a clue. You don't get federal funds at all. And all schools in the entire state of Maine will be punished because of your greed. Think about that one, Mills. Now, here's the people we need to look at here, folks. But before we do, let's take a look at this one right here, shall we? We can get a good look at it. Hate to bring up old news, ladies and gentlemen, especially from the shooter, Robert Card, who took lives back on October 25th, 2023. Maine gun laws, red flag bill rejected by lawmakers in favor of amendments to yellow flag law. Instead, at the time, Speaker Rachel Talbot Ross had the gavel in the Maine House of Representatives. She didn't have any guts or chutzpah, or what Mr. Gutfeld recently said. Of course, she's a woman, and that's to be debated as well, especially in the atmosphere that we live in today. Don't like what I have to say, Ms. Talbot Ross? Right here. The state of Maine, right behind you up in Waterville. 20 minutes away from the State House. Stand up to the truth for a change. So here's what's going to happen, folks. We'll put it down just a little bit further so you can see that the other sign down below here is all about men getting ready to buy guns at a gun show. They went on after COVID. They did. Still selling guns and promoting gun sales and all that. Even after the horrible and despicable disaster of Robert Card. So what's going on? Glad you asked. Seems public hearings will be taking place there, folks, coming up on March 26th. We'll just run down the list here so we don't take up your time, but you can look these up all the time, ladies and gentlemen, on the legislature's website. Legislature.maine.gov. And it will guide you as to where to find all these bills up for proposal. Here's the list for the Joint Standing Committee on Judiciary. An act concerning the concealed carrying of a handgun by an individual who is 18 years of age but under 21. An act to standardize the laws regarding the carrying of concealed handguns in state parks. An act to eliminate the duty to inform a law enforcement officer when carrying a concealed handgun without a permit. An act to update the statutory definition of machine gun and prohibit possession of a rapid-fire device. And an act regarding an act regarding an employer's authority to prohibit an employee from storing a firearm in the employee's vehicle. That sounds like violation of both the First and Second Amendment, doesn't it, folks? LD 998. We'll publish this one. An act regarding an employer's authority to prohibit an employee from storing a firearm in the employee's vehicle. What the hell? And the last list, folks, is the Joint Standing Committee on Judiciary public hearing as well on March 28th, the very next day. These are all about abortions. Number one, the LD numbers are there. All you have to do is look them up, folks, on legislature.maine.gov. First of 6, an act to prevent the Maine Care program from covering abortion. An act to amend certain laws regarding abortions. Number 3, an act to regulate medication abortions. Next, an act to make manufacturers responsible for proper disposal of abortion drugs and require a health care provider to be physically present during a chemical abortion. Yike. An act to repeal laws allowing abortion and to criminalize abortion. And the last one, an act to update the state's informed consent laws regarding drug-induced abortion. Here's who you need to keep in mind, folks. Of course, we all know about Laurel Libby. Please pray for her and support her any way you can when it comes to time for her to testify. Upcoming appeal in the federal court in Rhode Island. Also, our leaders right here in the Maine House. Even though it's in the minority, doesn't mean they don't have a voice, folks. And you have one too all the time to your state representative, no matter who it is. Democrat, Republican, Independent, it doesn't matter. Tell them you're concerned about this. All these that we've just read, and many others down there, you can see them all the time, folks. It's public knowledge. It has to be. legislature.maine.gov. Mr. Falkingham, and also Katrina Smith, House Republican leader and assistant leader. Thank you for joining us for the program Masculinity or Jealousy. In the meantime, folks, stay safe. Pray for everything that is not just Maine, but also for our entire country. You can find our podcasts at rumble.com/fairnessmedia1 and email us anytime right there at fairnessandreportingmedia@gmail.com, fairnessandreportingmedia@gmail.com. Stay safe, everyone. Safe travels. Peace to everyone.